As long as we can live with less, we can still live. More is not sustainable. The future is dictating that we use less. Less energy, less waste, less resources. In exchange for less, we get more life. I'm trying to raise my children to be leaders in the future of less. I'm uncertain how I'm doing on this mission. You see, my children have it better than I did. At least my 7-year-old self would have thought so. They've already been to Disneyland, something I didn't do until I was 13 via the means of a new, wealthy, and temporary stepfather. My 6-year-old is so entitled. I want my own bedroom, she tells me. Again, something I didn't have until I was almost the last child left at home in a family with 7 kids. But like all humans, particularly humans in capitalist America, she compares. She sees friends of hers with their own bedrooms and has a momentary desire and makes the request. I usually respond with something about our family values and that she should probably just get over it because we don't strive to have the typical household setup. Then again, in Hawaii, is there a typical? Our story is probably not as different as I sometimes think it is. As you may have guessed, I'm not from Hawaii. I came to Oahu as a naive country bumpkin college kid from Utah, 19 years old, not knowing how to pronounce Laie. I wasn't planning on staying. I also wasn't planning on living like a poor college student for 13 years. Yet, here I am, and I credit this largely to my gosei, or 5th generation Japanese, spouse of frugality, Brett. He has seen numerous childhood friends and 2 brothers decide that the sacrifices it takes to live here are too much and decide to go. Should I stay or should I go? For many, it's a question that eerily lingers with financial decisions, a question that haunts with a battle between black and red bottom lines. Yes, Hawaii presents its own unique set of challenges. The elephant in the room is the high cost of housing. For us, we wanted to accomplish the unreal goal of purchasing a home of our own as rapidly as possible. In order to do this, we knew that we needed to gain a lump sum of money. We knew that the money would not be coming from family, so we did the next best thing that they could offer, and we lived with my father-in-law until we could save our own lump. There were 3 strategies we used, which is obviously living with family and friends, generally living on the cheap, and lastly, becoming small-time criminal renovators when we did get our own place. So we lived with Dad and his permanent stacks of newspapers on the kitchen table, and he lived with us and the more than occasional light left on, and me rearranging the shelves for 2 years. In that time, we were able to save a 5% lump of a down payment, not the recommended 20% lump that makes you a competitive home buyer. But still, we pressed forward. We knew we couldn't afford Kaneohe, where Britt is from, and we also didn't want a condo with never-ending HOA fees. So we started looking at Mililani or Waimanalo for homes that we could afford. This is where the universe stepped in for us. A golden-hearted couple that was retiring to Vegas from Waimanalo picked our offer, even though it wasn't the best one. I'd like to think it's because they knew we were a family that was going to raise their kids here and not the more common investor that was just going to flip it for a profit. So there we were with our hale less than a mile away from Waimanalo Beach. And I wish I could say that we lived happily ever after, but there were more than a few hurdles as we became homeowners. The tiny yard outside was impeccable with Auntie Gail's green thumb, but inside the place was hardly livable with pet urine stenched carpet and those old dark 70s style panel wooden walls. So we lived with Bachan and Jichan for a couple of weeks until we had the flooring down on the first bedroom. While we dealt with the immediate flooring issues in the new place, we also acquired new roommates. My mother-in-law and brother-in-law moved into the place before we did, as they didn't have another temporary place to stay. They spent the holidays in the new place, and they told us one day that, or one morning, that my brother had woken up with many bites. Fleas, bed bugs, spiders, whatever the beautifully stained carpet was holding for him. It took us 4 months to finish the walls and the ceilings and the floors. We dealt with roof leaks and special paint types. And of course, the inevitable protocol arguments between us. But we kept going, room by room, personally preparing our house for inhabitation. We did this all the while wrangling my 10-month-old baby in a construction zone. To give you an idea of how green we were to the renovation process, on my first trip up to the attic, I learned the hard way that attics don't have floors. Crash. It felt like an insurmountable setback to have to repair the hole in the ceiling. But with just a bump and a bruise, our good buddy Jeremy reminded us that we would look back on this and laugh. I still haven't told him that Brett gave the ceiling a matching hole a couple months ago when he was replacing the solar attic fan. This time I remembered to smile sooner rather than later. It was a couple years later, when we were renovating the kitchen, that the real criminal activity began. I really wanted under-cabinet kitchen lighting, and rather than hire a costly electrician, I looked up the codes, read a few articles, and tapped off an outlet to create a new light switch. The lights are my pride and joy, and I still get comments on them. This is just one example of the many things we did as amateur renovators. On another occasion, Brett he had to replace a major beam in our home that had been eaten out by termites who knows how long before. He did this using only his brother, a 2x4, and a 3-ton floor jack used for automobiles. For a moment, I felt the whole house was moving, which probably is not very far from the truth. The truth of the matter is that, the fact of the matter is that doing renovation yourself without code or getting a building permit is commonplace due to the high cost of living. As long as you know your neighbors, it seems like there are few limitations on what you can do. In our planned community, there are all kinds of additions, including one neighbor that made their upper level reminiscent to a barn. That's why there's no easy answer for the things like the investor monster houses or Airbnb, because while many of these are out-of-state investors, there's always the family that just keeps on building because no one can afford to buy. Our next door neighbors, for example, have the same size place as us, but at times have had over 20 people living there. That's why I get it. On their last extension, they came too close to the property line, but I don't have an issue with that when they're trying to make ends meet. Doing this much renovation yourself may seem over the top to some, but for us, it's just another example of getting by living with less. It's also very empowering to know all the things that you can do by yourself. Over the top. It's an interesting idiom I've used for getting by, for intentionally living with less than the projected status quo. Living with less for us, that means that while we spend more on fruits and veggies, we shop almost exclusively at thrift stores for clothes and household goods. Living with less means we put up with mom's boxes of seashells and beach memorabilia, and we forgive brothers' friends who use the nice bath towels for overflowing toilets. It means we live with a sister, bring around her boyfriend, that one who lives in a van, but does all of his cooking for his keto diet at our place. We wake up to strangers from Poland and Puerto Rico, strangers that have become family. We do this not only to benefit family and save money, but also to experience a different definition of community. My partner Brett lives on Craigslist free. And while it can be humbug to have to drop what you're doing and go and pick something up, we have scored a dishwasher, a washing machine, a truck bed topper, decorative bamboo, lumber, cabinets, desk chairs, interior doors, exterior doors, barn-style doors. The list goes on. Did you know that you can find the entire island's bulky item pickup schedule online? When Brett and my brother discovered this, they were particularly giddy. They prowled the neighborhoods looking for timeless items, and when they found something promising, they suddenly turned into Steve Irwin and shouted, "It's a good find!" We've also realized that as we've had kids, we don't ever need to buy a children's bicycle. We just shop curbside for new upgrades. Yes, curbside and Craigslist have been good to us. Easy on the pocketbook and easy on the planet. Climate change is helpful in unexpected ways. It provides a certain beautiful justification for living secondhand. I've lived this lifestyle long enough now that I have to watch my own judgments of others. New plastic toy purchases? Have you seen our beaches? Buying new anything? Step out of your convenience bubble and shop Facebook Marketplace first. All the right trends are in for getting by at an extremely high cost of living. Minimalism, reusing, repurposing. Buying local can be pricey at times, but also is there supporting friends and community that care about you and that will support you in kind. A big triumph in my mind is that while we make below the median Hawaii income, we have time for our keiki. And aside from our mortgage, we are debt-free. I realize that we are fortunate. A lot of people don't have the family resources that we do, and it's a different market than it was 5 years ago. Our neighborhood is gentrifying in ways beyond my country girl self. But we make ends meet. In actuality, money is the ends I worry less about. I'm less worried about my daughter's desire for a new bedroom and more about her growing understanding that our oceans are dying. We're all on this earth together, and my examples of living creatively are just scratching the surface of the means it will take to have a better end for all of us. Thank you.